Hi everybody, I'm Crystal Haynes. Tonight on Greater Boston, it is that time of year for students across the country. School's out and summer reading is on. But with a nationwide push to ban thousands of books, young people are fighting back. Then you may know them from TikTok, a local couple, Carlo and Sarah, who've amassed a serious following, poking fun at each other's cultural differences on social media. Well, the school year is winding down for students across the country, which means summer vacation and summer reading. They are right around the corner, and there are plenty of options for kids to choose from. But at the same time, schools and libraries across the state and across the country are facing a record-breaking level of requests to ban books from their collections. The American Library Association says that just over 2,500 titles were targeted for censorship last year, a 38% increase from the year before. The vast majority of those books were written by or about members of the LGBTQ community and people of color. It is an effort that communities across Massachusetts have pushed back on, and so far it seems that most of the challenges in this state have been unsuccessful. And earlier this week, Illinois became likely the first state in the country to pass a law prohibiting book bans in its public schools and libraries. But the challenges just keep flooding in. Well, of course, we want to break this all down. With us today is Boston Globe culture columnist Jeneé Osterheldt, joining me now discussing this troubling trend. And along with her is Frank Wilkins. He is the Associate Director of Online Operations for the bookseller and youth development organization, More Than Words. And Alaa is here as well, a youth partner for the organization, on what they have in store for summer reading. We're going to talk all things books, and we're excited for you all to be here. So first, Jeneé, I want to get into what we were talking about with these book bans. Like, for me, reading was such a joy in my life, and I'm sure it is for lots of young people. And to hear that books that we grew up reading are being banned, what do you think that's doing for the culture?
I wouldn't be who I am without the books I started reading, at 4 and 5. So I just don't. The concept of banning books and preventing young people from knowledge is insane, but also totally expected in this nation. This is a country that has always been bent on indoctrinating people into a certain way of thinking and kind of forcing a certain narrative onto people and stripping people of their truth and of their history and also of their imagination. Because if you can control the imagination, you can deny people of hope and audaciousness to challenge systems.
We were talking about some of the books that are actually on some of these banned lists, and they're things that we all grew up reading.
The fact that Toni Morrison's The Bluest Eye is so steadily challenged is just insane to me. And even things that I didn't grow up reading, but that I read with my mentees, like Looking for Alaska by John Green. These books have no business being banned. And the attack against All Boys Aren't Blue is totally about controlling the queer community and trying to, it's an attack. So it's like certain books you see readily challenged, and it's kind of just an attack on freedoms, period.
We are talking about these books. We're talking about getting young people extra excited about reading. Frank, talk to me a little bit about More Than Words for folks who aren't familiar with that and engaging kids in this space.
Well, More Than Words is a youth empowerment program where we work with youth to develop business skills and also work side by side to have them develop critical life skills and go towards their goals. Our mission is actually empowering youth 16 to 24 that are system involved to take charge of their lives by taking charge of a business. And that business started in 2004 selling books.
Yeah, books, summer reading, it all goes hand in hand. Talk to me about some of the recommendations that you all would have for folks who are reading.
All right, well, we're here with Alaa, and I'm going to have Alaa start with her recommendations.
Hi, Alaa.
Hi. The first book that I have, it's a true crime book for all the true crime lovers out there, and it's called Killers of the Flower Moon by David Grann, and it's just about the Osage murders and the birth of the FBI.
Oh, okay.
So it's more like dark, on the darker side. But I also bought a book that's more happy, and it's a beach read. It's called Happy Place by Emily Henry, and it's about a couple that actually broke up, but they pretended like they were still together just for the sake of the vacation with their best friends.
Why did you pick these books?
This book that I chose, I've read it before.
Yeah.
We actually read it. Like I read it with one of my friends when we were at the park, cause like we do picnics and stuff.
Oh, nice.
And we just liked it.
Yeah, it's a good read.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
I've heard good things about Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really dark book, so it is for the people who like to read darker stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And so I have a couple of books as well.
Yeah.
The first book is by Maya Angelou, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, The Four Words by Oprah Winfrey. And this book it's joy, it's pain, it's has the mysteries and the wonders of childhood. It's dealing with the loneliness of, the longings of lonely children, the insults of bigotry, and also just like the wonder of words that could ultimately right the world. And then the second book that we have is Pride, and it's the story of Harvey Milk and the rainbow flag. It's a picture book. It's a beautifully illustrated picture book written by Rob Sanders and illustrated by Steven Salerno. And it's just bringing you through the life of the rainbow flag from 1978 on to now, and where it stands in the world and the role that it plays for equality and justice and the symbol that it provides.
How does it feel to, if a young person or anyone really comes into the bookstore, how does it feel to be able to connect them to something that really you think will probably touch them? Because I know when I go into a bookstore, I'm like, well, what are you reading? What makes you feel good? What will reach, meet me where I'm at right now?
So, on the side of business that I work in the online operations, we have stacks of books that hold over 100,000 donated books. And whenever you see people walk into the space, they're very amazed. I actually had a conversation with a young adult just getting started yesterday, and I had found a book that I was going through donations and found a book that he said, this might help me give me some knowledge about starting a business. And it just, to see people get encouraged about reading, about being around books and going through books every day, you see their interest peaked. It's a beautiful thing.
Alaa, I mean, you probably work in the store. I mean, what's it like connecting? I mean, maybe you have peers who are like, nah, I'm taking the summer off. I'm not trying to crack a book open. Like, what do you say to them when you talk about working in a bookstore, reading with your friends on a picnic in the park, that kind of thing?
Of course. Honestly, I'm not much of a reader myself at first, but then when I did start working at More Than Words, that's when I started really looking into I started reading books that I actually enjoyed. I'm into psychology, so I just kept reading psychology books, more self-help books, and it kind of helped me develop.
Wow. So what do you tell young people, your friends, your peers about that when they're like, A
lot of my friends, they do find reading boring, which is fair, but I feel like once you find the right book, you're gonna start loving to read. It's just about the book you choose.
Yeah. And Jeneé, when we're talking about, these book bans and reading and things like that, and I feel like when you hear this negative discourse in the media about book bans and reading, it's got to discourage kids to some degree. Like, I'm just going to walk away from all of this, static.
I don't know. I have so much pride and inspiration around our young people, and I feel like they're voracious readers, and that's just something you can't take away from kids and from people. Once you fall into the right book, you're just open up to a whole new world. So, I recently just bought Big by Vashti Harrison to give to one of my nieces, and I'm just looking at these. I'm desperately waiting for the final Children of Blood and Bone book.
Yeah.
But, I think about these books with kids, and I think that you can't stop knowledge. You can't stop the liberation that comes with the radical imagination and what it means to be creative and dive into a book. It's its own vacation. It's its own escape.
Yeah. And I think about, in your capacity as arts and culture, goddess, as I like to call you, all things. But what's the conversation look like as we enter a time where, reading books and summer reading is in the zeitgeist?
I mean, I think one, we have to protect our young people, and we have to protect one another. We have to fiercely gather around spaces like More Than Words and Frugal Bookstore. We have to be in our book club. I loved hearing Ella talk about having a picnic with her friends and bringing books. I think the more we create community around books, around the power of story, the harder it will be to get these bans passed. And even if they are passed, to help keep them successful would require us being complicit in it. And I don't see that happening.
Absolutely. I know you have a few recommendations that we were talking about off camera. Talk to me about some of the books you would recommend.
I love Nicole Chung. I'm very excited about her new book, A Living Remedy. I am hype about Jane Allen's third book in the Black Girls Must Die Exhausted trilogy. Black Cake by Charmaine Wilkerson was an absolute pleasure to read last summer, so I'm gifting that this year to a bunch of friends. And every summer I reread a classic. This summer it'll be Sula by Toni Morrison. Last year it was Octavia Butler's Parable of the Sower.
Yeah, and I think about, I thought to myself, Frank, when you recommended I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, I haven't read that again or reread that again in so long, and maybe it's time to crack it open again.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the power of books.
Yeah.
It connects with a lot of us as far as like when we think about our growing up and our education, our formal education, we think about these books that are tied to our story, and the books, they last. And kind of at More Than Words, that's the power of what we do, is that we're seeing people that have kept these books for a long time, and then they're donating it to us. They're passing through the hands of the young adults. The young adults are seeing people purchase these books. We're shipping them out to people. We're hosting author events for authors that may look like them. And I think that books like this, the message of this, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, it's the power of voice, it's the power of words, it's the power of being able to document ideas and put them in a book that can last the test of time.
For sure. I'm going to sneak in a couple of my picks, or a few of them. The Akata Witch series by Nandi Okorafor, which if your kids like Harry Potter, magic, and young people at the center of those stories, that's a great one. The Covenant of Water by Abraham Verghese, which is a beautiful, just sweeping story of a family and resiliency and revolution in India. And The 700 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Just a really fun, intriguing read, a great beach read, a great pool read as well. And I really enjoy those. So I'm just like excited about reading this summer, right? To just take that time and be, calm in that space, right? Yeah. Talk to me, Ella, what your summer reading's going to look like. You've already read these titles.
I'm really into poetry. So I
you
like
haven't even picked poetry yet.
Yeah, not yet, but I like reading a lot of self-help books, self-love. I feel like as women of color, we really need that, especially at these times. Poetry, I like nonfiction.
Nonfiction?
Nonfiction, I like, it's just, I don't know, like, I read books, but then, like, I don't really remember the names of them.
Yeah, no, that's fine. We're going to have to go into More Than Words, and we're going to get recommendations from the experts like yourself.
Thank you.
Well, I want to thank you all for joining me. It was such a pleasure, and happy reading.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Of course.
All right.
Next up, first comes love, then comes TikTok. That's how it went for Massachusetts native Sarah Mollica and her now husband, Italian native Carlo Bruno Longo, who've amassed more than 5 million followers, sharing the comedy at the heart of their cultural differences.
Put address to elephant in the room.
We had to address the elephant in the room.
We have to put an address. What elephant in the room?
Sara, ma tu sei pazza!
What? Fresh ricotta.
Fresh ricotta.
Not ricotta.
We are in Italy, come on.
The little animal that always runs around our backyard. Not a chipmunk.
Squirrel. 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 Square.
So the couple started sharing their videos a few years back when they were still long distance, and now they live together just outside of Boston, where their lighthearted pranks continue. Sarah and Carlo, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much to you, guys.
Is this so weird to be interviewed this way, where you all are usually the ones that are in front of the camera doing your own thing, right?
Yeah, it's new.
It's totally different experience for us.
So talk to me about how you all met.
So my family is from Italy as well, in Calabria. So my nonna and nonno, with my grandmother and grandfather, have a house there still. We would vacation there often in the summer. Carlo's family has a beach club in Italy as well.
I was a lifeguard.
Yes, that's where he was a lifeguard. So we would always go there, and he was just a cute lifeguard there. He asked me out on multiple dates, and I always said no.
I tried so many times. She always say no, I can't.
And then I finally said yes once, and we've been together ever since then.
I
so.
feel like that's like the start of a novel, like a really good beach read.
That's a short version, too.
Just-
It's a very
just-
long
there is-
version.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There are so many details
Yeah.
like that I learned for a full winter English by myself, watching video just for us to have on a date with me.
Oh, that's adorable.
Before I even knew, I was just like, oh, he's just a cute lifeguard. But
I was always fall in love with her. Since the first time that I saw her, for me was like, she's not real.
Oh, that's awesome. So talk to me about the TikTok piece of it. When did you decide, you know what, I should record this?
so when we were long distance, I would post a video here and there about our long distance. And then I went to go visit him in Italy for the summer, and I just started to prank him. I didn't know what I was doing. I think the first one that I did was asking if I should put pineapple on pizza, because it just came in my head that that's what Americans do. And I broke spaghetti in half, and then I was like, wow, this is really... When I saw the way he reacted, I was like, I'm going to keep doing this. And it just happened. It blew up after that. I remember we refreshed our TikTok, and it was like at 1 million followers in less than 24 hours. And we're like, what is happening
Yeah, it was like unbelievable also, because it was nothing prepared, nothing ready. It's just be yourself. I mean, she was herself because she prepared the prank. And I was myself in my reaction, but the situation was weird just because happens without realize what happens.
Yeah, we didn't plan to do it. It just happened.
What went through your head when she recorded that first video of you, the first prank?
Which one?
The pineapple on pizza one.
Oh my God! I say no. That's. She really didn't ask this. She really didn't want to do that. She just want to say something funny to me. But I didn't know it was a prank. I didn't know it was like a recording situation. Also because I didn't even have a TikTok before this situation.
Yeah.
Because I was like in the social media, I was very bad. I post on a picture every 3 months.
That's why it's so easy. He was just like, oh, Sarah's just recording me for fun. Like, he didn't know it. And then when I started posting, he's like, oh, that's what you're doing.
Yeah, that was funny. And the best part of this situation is when we lay down on the bed and we watch our video and we laughing. That for me, in the moment that she laughing is the best moment for me, because you do something for to be natural and make your wife laugh.
Yeah, laugh.
Laughing? Yes. Laugh. That's the best. I mean, what you can have more.
Do you ever think, okay, are you starting to catch on to when she's pranking you? Like, are you thinking, okay, this must be a prank for TikTok?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no, because sometimes she prank me without camera. So I not do for the camera.
Right.
I do just because I am myself. And sometimes I probably can imagine, but I don't know if she really have the camera.
Yeah,
because,
it's kind of like we have the kind of relationship that we are always doing that to each other. Like we're always going back and forth anyways. So it's like, yeah, go ahead.
Like I do the same with her, but I no record.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like she is the genius behind that. She's sneaky, ready with the camera. I do like something similar, but I'm not sneaky. How much she's sneaky to
Yeah,
do
I know
this.
when he's doing it immediately. I'm like, your camera's literally.
Yeah, I try.
But me, I'm like very
It's
sneaky
so
about
evident.
it.
Yeah.
And he doesn't pay attention to the little things anyway, so he's just like, oh, she's just probably taking a picture or something.
Yeah. And now with the YouTube video that we made, so we are more in the camera, so it's like be yourself and that's it.
Yeah. 5 million followers is incredible. Did you all ever think you would have 5 million folks following you and your lives together?
No, honestly, still, when people are out in public and they recognize us, we never realize why. Sometimes people will come up to us and be like, hi, and I'm like, wait, Oh, we post videos on the internet. Like, we don't, it doesn't, like, I can't fathom that number in my head. It's crazy, especially when one of our videos has like 100 million views. I never realized how many, that's a lot of viewers. Like, that's a lot of people.
Yeah, we don't consider like 5 million, we have 5 million followers. We still act like, yeah, we are normal people that post a video, because we are. I mean, it's something, a huge number, we never, the number never influenced us.
Yeah, like we never just do it for like the number or anything. We're just like, oh, it's really cool that people enjoy our videos. And sometimes we just forget that many people watch us.
Of course, we enjoy the situation that 5 million person love our video, laugh about our video. At the end of the day, we make laughing somebody. It's incredible. It's incredible when we receive some message like, thank you guys for making me laugh. Thank you guys, you inspired us. That's something back that we receive from what we're doing, and it's fantastic.
Does it always, is there any pressure of like having your lives so public all the time? Like having your relationship so public all the time?
Yes and no. I feel like we, since we're like the creators, we can pick and choose what we post on the internet. A lot of the time, some people will just be like, oh, like asking questions about certain things that it's like, we don't feel comfortable sharing that, but we only share what we feel comfortable with sharing. And honestly, we have a really good community, so we wouldn't, they're very supportive in general. So we don't really feel pressure on that end.
Not at all. I think that they are amazing. We decide what we share, what we don't want to share easily. We don't feel pressure to do. We don't feel like, oh, we have to share this. It's like we live the moment. We feel to share, yes, we post. We don't feel to share, we don't.
Yeah.
So have you taken him to the North End since you guys are in Boston? What was that like? Because I imagine it's a mix of Italian accents, but like that Boston accent.
Yeah, exactly this. It's a mix of dialect, because in Italy we are full of dialect. Plus, there is the Boston accent. It's something funny, because in the beginning I couldn't catch the Boston accent. I couldn't catch any accent here. Now I start to catch some accent, and the Boston accent is very strong, and mixed to the different Italian dialect is something very funny to hear, absolutely.
What was that like when you took him to an Italian restaurant?
Honestly, we found some good ones.
Okay.
I think his closest that he's loved here is Italy, at Prudential Center. He truly that's to him, that's the closest that he's gotten to actual Italian food, obviously, but
there is some very good restaurant in Boston in general, absolutely.
Oh, I can imagine. And do you have like, Boston Italians being like, this is my grandmother's recipe, and they pronounce it. I know, forgive me, but I know like mozzarella is pronounced a lot of different ways by American Italians and Italians that live in Italy, and like you must be like, what?
What is that? What are you talking about? It's when I say like it's mozzarella, it's easy to say.
Not mozzarella.
No, that's
right. It's like just add the A in the end. It's just one letter.
It's just one letter. Waste time to say. I think you waste more time to stop yourself while you say this word. So but there are so many. We can say that is I consider like another language. It's like another dialect. The Italian American, it's another dialect, in my opinion, because it's not Italian.
So when you've obviously, Carlo and Sarah, had this opportunity now with your fame to be able to travel places and talk about your relationship and things like that. I mean, that's got to be an amazing experience for you to experience different parts of America through that, and you sort of being his guide. What's that like?
It's honestly been really fun. A lot of people, since this is our job right now, it's like working with your husband and your best friend is amazing. A lot of people would disagree with that. They're probably like, I would never work with my husband. But like, we are truly best friends. So being able to do that, we just love doing it. It's never felt like a job or work to us. It's just our day-to-day lives. And getting to show him different things like Cracker Barrel, or just things that are like, things that he's shocked about. Like I took him to Chuck E. Cheese one time. a lot of things just shock him about America. I personally love seeing his reaction because he's from such a small part of Italy, like a small town, that not even just America, but some things that we do here, he's just like, wow, he's like a little kid. He's like, what is all of this?
No, it's considered that I watch Americans from the TV show, from the movie, and when I come here, also in the simple yellow bus school,
the school bus.
They say, oh, that's real. I can't believe it's real. The first time we come here, I was with my sister. Me and my sister was like, oh, like, you know, the movie, it's real, the school bus. It's something small, but, you know, it's funny for us.
Yeah, or like lockers in a high school. He was shocked that we actually use lockers there. Like, there's so many things.
Yeah, because it's always something that you see in the TV and never... you always wonder, it's real, it's not real, it's just for the movies, just... When I come here, I discover all these things. It was so funny for me and for her to see our reaction. One of the best was about the fried ice cream.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. That's he's like, I don't understand.
I'm still shocked about
it. It's like, what is this magic?
How is possible? It was because I think with the logical thing, it's impossible. Fried is too hot, so it can be, it's melty.
Yeah.
And then when I saw it, is it really fried ice cream?
Did it taste good?
Yeah, I mean, it was good. Very sugary. Very sugary.
I took him to like, a fair one time, and I showed him like fried Oreos, fried Twinkies.
Fried everything.
Fried all of
We
this.
like our fried foods in
Yeah,
America.
I can see that. I can definitely see that.
Well, I imagine it's also like you get to see the things that you maybe took for granted as a kid and stuff growing up through different eyes, and it makes you appreciate it that much more.
Yeah, that's what I mean by like, his reactions just make me so happy because I just feel like a little kid again. Like I'm just like, oh.
That's
He's
the best
genuinely
part.
is so enjoyed. Like it makes him so happy.
That's the best part for me.
Yeah.
See her act and laughing with me for something that I made. You know, sometimes in the relationship you try to be silly, you try to be joke around just for a moment, like stressful moment. You try to. I am always like that, but because it's a new world for me, and I discover, and I'm not shy to be like a silly Carlo because. I'm this, that's it.
I can't wait to take him to Disney World.
Oh, okay.
That's a whole different thing.
All right, we'll have to have you back on the show.
Yeah, see, that's going to be a whole different world.
I'm so...
That's going to be fun.
For me, it will be incredible. I cannot wait, to be honest, because everybody say, oh, Carlo to Disney World, there will be something amazing.
Yeah. Well, Carlo and Sarah, thank you for taking some time.
Thank you to you, really.
Yeah, and I'll see you on TikTok.
Yes. Scroll fast.
Exactly. I love it. All right. Thank you.
Thank you to you.
Of course. Of
Thank
course.
you.
That's it for tonight, but come back tomorrow where we'll take a look at the use of facial recognition software in airports, including Logan, and the growing concern over privacy and racial bias baked into the technology. That and more tomorrow at 7. I'm Crystal Haynes. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.
On Agatha Christie's